Welcome back to Project 613. Today we continue learning about the Nazirite. A Nazir is an individual, a man or a woman, who take upon themselves a specific type of vow to behave like a Nazir, usually for a duration of 30 days, but could be for much longer than that, depending on how long the person takes upon themselves to behave like a Nazir. And as we started learning yesterday, the Nazir has a number of things that they are not allowed to do while they are in Nazir. They are not allowed to cut their hair, they are not allowed to drink wine or grape juice, and they are not allowed to come in contact with a dead body. So yesterday we learned about the first mitzvah for a Nazir, about cutting their hair. Today we move on to the second category of what's forbidden for a Nazir, and there are actually a few specific mitzvot within this category, and we will learn 3 of them today. So number 1, the Torah tells us it's forbidden for a Nazir to drink wine or grape juice or any other grape-based intoxicating beverage. We know this from the verse that says, "V'chol mishrat anavim lo yishteh." The second mitzvah we have today is that it's forbidden for the Nazir to eat grapes, as the verse says, "V'anavim lachim." And the third mitzvah we have today is that it's forbidden for the Nazir to eat dry grapes, to eat raisins, as the verse says, "V'anavim yiveshim." Now, what's the reason for this mitzvah? Why is it forbidden for a Nazir to drink wine or grape juice? So one of the reasons for this is that the Nazir is really an individual who is trying to hold himself back from worldly pleasures in order to gain control over their own desires, in order to become more spiritual, in order to try and temper their natural instincts and inclinations, and to live a more of a holy, removed life from the physical. And to do so while at the same time not weakening themselves physically. So the Nazir doesn't abstain totally from eating and drinking, but he abstains from drinking wine with the goal of trying that this should help him to be more of a refined individual, to be able to control himself better and to be more holy. This is basically the idea of a Nazir. So is such a behavior considered commendable, or is such a behavior frowned upon? The interesting thing is that we see that the Torah ultimately frowns upon this behavior, and proof is that the Torah requires a Nazir to bring a sin offering when he's finished being a Nazir. Why? What's the reason for this? What's wrong with such behavior? It seems very holy and spiritual. The answer is that ultimately in Judaism, being spiritual is very much connected with the physical. In Judaism, the Jewish point of view is not that we should remove ourselves from the physical in order to be spiritual. Rather, we should engage with the physical and use it for the right reason, and that's how we attain a higher spiritual level. So whereas in many other religions, for example, the more spiritual you are, if you're very spiritual, you stay single, you don't get married. In Judaism, the holiest thing a person can do is to get married, according to the way the Torah says. In Judaism, we don't abstain from drinking wine. We drink wine for the right reasons, for Kiddush and for a mitzvah. We don't abstain from eating food. Rather, we eat food, but it has to be kosher food. And this is in general the Jewish view of merging the spiritual with the physical, where we engage with the physical, but for the correct reason. And this is why, in general, a Nazir is frowned upon. Of course, there are exceptions to the rules. There are someone who's on an exceedingly holy level, like the famous Nazirites, Samson and Samuel. That's a different story altogether. And especially if there's a commandment from God for them to be a Nazir, that of course is not what we're talking about. But we're talking about for the average person like me and you, the behavior of the Nazir is not something which is recommended or considered a positive thing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.